The idea that Canada is some sort of an oppressor nation and that we have some fee we have to pay out to certain peoples, like the protesters we've now seen on our streets for 2.5 years straight, is so ahistoric and such BS. When the Brits, the Scottish, the French, and the Englishmen came over here, they were settlers. First and foremost, they built this civilization. They built this society. They did not come in as immigrants to a functioning system that was already working great. If you read about what happened before the settlers arrived, it was not a pretty sight here, despite what the woke ideologues will tell you. When the indigenous were here, it was not a functioning society. It was incredibly brutal. Not to say that nothing bad happened to the indigenous that wasn't just, but I'm just saying to act as though it was some friendly, functioning society is ahistoric drivel. And then you see these protests on our street every single day, these hate rallies, these masked Islamic extremists, too cowardly to show their faces, screaming intifada in our lifetime, from the river to the sea. The most vile stuff, anti-Canadian stuff, Canadian flags burning, anti-Western civilization, bankrolled and cheerled by our corrupt government, fake body bags on the street, fake blood on their hand, the most vile anti-Western stuff. They claim that we're the colonizers. You want to know who the real colonizers are? It's the theocratic Muslims. Are you kidding me? Look at their history. They colonized essentially all of Africa, all of the Middle East except Israel. That's why they want to get rid of Israel. It's the only holdout in the Middle East. They have colonized like absolutely nobody else, acting as though it's some sort of a small upstart. This is the second largest religion in the world. This is a totalitarian religion that in these 56 Muslim majority countries, freedom of speech does not exist. Women's rights do not exist. LGBT gay rights do not exist. This is as oppressive a system as exists. You're getting it totally backwards if you think that the jihadis are the oppressed ones and the Canadians are the oppressors. That is a bunch of ahistoric drivel. You look at what's happening in Nigeria right now. Muslims are slaughtering hundreds of thousands of Christians just because your Western mainstream self-hating media, CBC, CTV, Global News, state propagandists don't tell you it. It's absolutely true. Look up what's happening in Nigeria right now. If you live in Canada and you get mainstream media and never hear about it, but that's a real genocide. That is hundreds of thousands of Christians being slaughtered for their religion, being eliminated, which is what, and then you look through the history of radical Muslims, radical jihad. My God, the amount of colonization that's gone on their end. They show up in these societies, and when they're only 10-20% of the population, they scream about minority rights. But time after time after time, going back to the Ottoman Empire, you look at it, when these guys hit a precipice of 30-40% of the population, the tables totally turn and minority rights go completely out the window. You are being played. It's called Takifa among Muslims, but they are allowed to lie to so-called infidels, which, trust me, that's exactly what they think we are in Canada. They think we're stupid suckers, guys like Mark Carney with his son that became a daughter. You think that would ever fly in the Middle East? Are you friggin' kidding me? They would fling him off a building. It's true insanity. The idea that Mark Carney's trans daughter would be allowed to exist in one of these 56 Muslim majority countries that he continues to insist on allowing hundreds of thousands of people in a year from is ahistoric drivel. It's simply not true. I can definitively tell you it's not true. I know people who have lived in these countries. That does not exist in those countries. You cannot survive in those countries. You think you can go live like that in Palestine? Give me a goddamn break. But the idea that we owe them for some, if anything, Muslims have been oppressing Christians throughout the world for a very long period of time. This is the second largest religion in the world. Arab currencies make up the 5 most valuable currencies in the world. A lot of the most wealthy people on the entire planet are Muslims, and this is Islam. The definition of Islam is literally submission. This is totalitarian. This is totally against our Canadian values. Yet somehow the far lefties in Canada have convinced a decent percentage of the population that We are some sort of an oppressive force, and we need to invite hundreds of thousands of these people from alien cultures into our civilization. We owe them some sort of a debt. It's total BS. It's total BS. And if we continue to do this, if you think that Canada is transformed in the past 5-10 years, which it has extremely, my God, it is going to get even crazier in the next 5 to 10 years. Mark Carney wants to allow another 1.5 million people into the country in 2025. These immigration numbers cannot stand. They cannot continue. My suggestion is, now that a peace deal has been brokered in the Middle East, we should be sending them back, not inviting more people in. This is craziness. We're already seeing the Canadian national anthem played in Arabic. We're seeing prayer calls 5 times a day in certain areas of the country. Dearborn, Michigan, look it up. They have prayer calls and you're not allowed to preach the gospel there. Wake the hell up to what is going on, Canada, because if we keep this oppressor, woke BS worldview, Canada as we know it and we love it is going to be gone for good. Please like, share, subscribe, join, become a member. I really appreciate it. Everybody who does, pick up some gear. I've got some great Take Canada Back hats, Fight for Canada t-shirts. They're awesome. I really appreciate everybody who becomes a member, and stay tuned for the Discord server getting set up. If you're following on TikTok, make sure you're following on YouTube, youtube.com/Fight4Canada 2025, because I'm over 25K followers and the Canadian government's not a big fan of distance. Patriotic Canadians are going to take this country back.